Welcome to Engage, leading conversations that matter. Join in the conversation. Send an email to engage@cfpublic.org. Send a recorded talkback message on the free Central Florida Public Media app. Leave a voicemail by calling 407-273-2300, extension 246. Engage is made possible with the support of listeners like you.
Happy Thanksgiving. You are listening to Engage on Central Florida Public Media. I'm Sharon Stone. On this day of feasting, family, and football, we're presenting some of our favorite stories from 2024, featuring voices from our communities. Coming up, we'll hear about a unique scholarship opportunity provided by some world-renowned metalheads. Also, we'll revisit a trip to the Pine Hills Boys and Girls Club, where Zach Maldoff teaches kids to express themselves through skateboarding. And earlier this year, Jay Henry's in Paramore staged a remarkable comeback after a devastating fire. We'll recall our visit to the beloved Barbershop. First, this past Saturday at around noon, gospel music was pumping from a strip mall parking lot in Pine Hills as members of the community gathered at the House of Faith and Deliverance just off of Kirkman and Colonial. Antoine Edwards serves the Pine Hills community under the name Another Chance. His ministry is called Protect Thy Head, and Chance uses it to collaborate with other ministries, political leaders, and community organizers to connect with residents, to hold anti-violence gatherings, back-to-school supply giveaways, and, as he is today, donating turkeys and Thanksgiving dinner fixins.
Today, they're picking up a whole turkey, a frozen turkey. Inside their box, they got canned goods, they got canned corn, canned string beans, they got rice, yellow rice, white rice, they got yams, they have cornbread, they have it's another side or two in that box, and then they also have the hygiene box that we're giving them with the information. So they got a full meal for their family. They only have to add a couple of different sides, and they got a full meal for their family. They're good. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Chance has about 50 turkeys stacked in the bed of a pickup, and neatly stacked boxes decorated with turkeys and pilgrims line the outside of the strip mall ministry. Sitting in the pickup bed with the frozen birds is Israel James Simon, who leads PIP Ministries in Orlando. He's been distributing turkeys to low-income families since 2002. He explains how he's been trying to expand this operation for years.
They used to have a chaplain called Chaplain David. He had a place I used to go pick up food and just distribute it. I used to do it out of my house. Now I'm looking for me a place, a building or something, so I can do more. I'm trying to do more. So that's how I started, because I've been here all my life. I used to live over there where the arena built, right there on Division Street. So I know my way around this place, and I've been just taking my time doing what I got to do to try to build this ministry up. And I just thank God to be able to, to help other people, because I know how it was when I was small.
Israel Simon went on to describe his youth in Pine Hills and why he's motivated to provide these Thanksgiving meals.
My mama, she didn't read and she couldn't write, but she took care of us. My dad, he was around, but he took care of us too. But I didn't want to see. I like to see people smile. The main thing, to see another person smile, because it's about other people. It ain't about us. Just like people always self-centered. People, it's not good to be self-centered. It's good to think about somebody else. And I love to see that, even around Christmas. If I can do something around Christmas, I'll do something around Christmas to somebody, just to see somebody smile.
2024 has been an especially difficult year for Orlandoans living on the economic margins. Escalating food prices, coupled with extreme weather in the region, has made expenditures like an extra special Thanksgiving dinner seem financially onerous. Simon hopes today's giveaway will provide some relief.
And people just need help. They done had hurricanes come through here this year, and a lot of people probably don't have the money. A lot of people don't, and a lot of older people can't get out, and then they send their kids or somebody out to pick up and everything. And I think it's great, for me to just try to do something for somebody, It makes me feel good. I know it makes them feel good. I try to help the community. It's all about the community.
This is the first year that Another Chance is distributing turkeys. He's building up a schedule of community engagement. It can provide a little material relief in the form of food, school supplies, or toys at the holidays. But Shands knows there is a more valuable takeaway to his efforts.
I feel like I'm helping someone. I feel like I'm being the tool that God wanted me to be. You know, I'm being used appropriately. And that's what we gain out of it. So it's really a wonderful thing to be a part of this type of event. So I'm grateful for it. And just to give, you know, just to see people satisfied and happy. And, you know, that's the whole point. That's the whole thing behind it. That's the whole thing behind it.
As Israel Simon said, it's about serving others. And while engagement means you need to be out in the community, sometimes you need them to come to you.
I do this every year. See, this year I just decided to do it a little different. I usually take the turkeys and everything to people's house, but I decided I got older, I need the people to come to me. You know what I'm saying? So.
Earlier this year, we stopped by a very special restaurant deep in the heart of the Paramore community. This is our visit to Nikki's Place. Nikki's Place has been serving authentic Southern food in Paramore for nearly 75 years. Owners Elaine and Nick Aiken Jr. have run the 20-seat restaurant on Carter Street for 25 of those years. Elaine manages the books, Nick runs the kitchen, and their daughter Nikki works the dining room. The food has stayed pretty much the same since Nick started working for the previous owner back in 1953. The menu is simple on paper.
It's a home-cooked meal. Nothing fast about it. Old-fashioned, Paramore style, smothered ribs, chitlins, hog maws, you know, baked chicken, you know, nice cabbage, collard greens, macaroni and cheese.
But the flavors offer a complex journey through the culinary history of Black America. Nikki's hasn't gone unnoticed. Muhammad Ali ate there. So did Coretta Scott King. Even Elvis enjoyed the pork chops. But it's the loyal Paramore community that has kept Nikki's going decade after decade. And every Friday afternoon, Nick loads half a dozen coolers with carry-out containers and throws them into the back of a battle-worn cargo van cresting 500,000 miles. Around 2 o'clock, after the lunch rush has died down, Nick hits the streets of Paramore with his assistant, Newt.
Yeah, we came from South Carolina, and we moved here on Cayley Street in the beginning because my uncle was working for the railroad. Then after my father came down, we moved on Paramore. And that's where we stayed, on Hicks Quarters, on Paramore. Then I got jobs on Paramore, and I finally got the job where I'm working right now, washing dishes and learning how to cook.
Nick is selling lunches out of the van, smothered pork chops, meatloaf, baked chicken, and sides.
Give me the fried pork chop. Okay, you got banana pudding?
Yes, I have.
Give me that.
Made the banana pudding this morning.
He said that I get a discount because you did me wrong last Friday.
Okay,
I get a discount.
I'll give you a discount. The meal costs $25. I'll give you a $5 discount.
What?
Now you understand.
Why you do me like that, man? I'm hungry as hell.
But now I'm bringing the food to fill you up, baby.
What's the price?
Hey.
He said, what? How much it is? God, oh, man.
Hey, I got an extra grain of rice on the plate.
Nick has a route he follows. The customers are regulars. He's been doing this about 10 years. And on the rare Fridays when he can't get out of the kitchen to sell on the streets, he hears about it.
What happened to you, Mr. Nick? So I had a lot of business at the restaurant. Everybody said, you know, some guys who be looking for me. I said, what happened to you last week? So I said, well, we heading out, we coming out this week. Yeah, regulars, week over week. And they'll be coming to look for me. So, and I'll be looking for him.
Nick knows everyone in this neighborhood. He honks at everybody he passes.
Hey!
He knows every building and has a story to go with them all.
Jackson Center, every day. When I get out of school, I used to go there, play around in the field, and we went to Jackson. He said, young man, better go to school now. Yes, sir. See that grocery store right there, little shop? That used to be an insurance company back in the day. This used to be ABC liquor store right here. This is the same. Right on the corner up here, we'll come off of Carter Street. On this section was a place called Dixie Doodle, where I used to catch the orange bus going to the Orange Grove back in the day.
And he's seen the community change many times in many ways.
You had less people. Now it's less people in the Paramore area. See? Everybody's scattered. This used to be packed. You know, you had to walk, when you're walking out here, walking person to person. Now you can walk anywhere you want to go. Don't hardly see nobody. Back in the day, it was packed. So I've seen the change. And more change are coming. But what I see now, more homes are being built, and I see the people coming back to Paramore because it's less troublesome, it's less dangerous, you know. That's just my opinion. But I see more homes over there being built, more homes further down Paramore being built. I see the people are coming back to the area, and it's very, very quiet.
Nick isn't out here just for the business. He genuinely loves the neighborhood, and he knows that selling these lunch plates is hit or miss.
As you see, it's a gamble when you go out on the road. Nothing is exact, nothing is promised to you. Every time you come out, it's a gamble. The people be waiting on you. Sometimes we go knock on the door, they want something. Sometimes you knock on the door, they don't want anything. So, here come Mama now. She usually gives Mama 3 or 4 dinners. How you doing, darling?
All right.
At the end of the day, he gives the meals he doesn't sell to people on the streets. Nikki's Place is more than good food. It's a nexus for gathering in Paramore. And on the streets, Nick Jr. is the community's fixture.
Yeah, we always want him. We miss him every time. On Fridays, we be waiting on him.
Engage visited Nikki's Place owner Nick Aiken Jr. back in March of this year. Coming up, we'll revisit a conversation about a scholarship opportunity that focuses on the trades and is inspired by some iconic hard rockers. You're listening to Engage on Central Florida Public Media. You're listening to Engage on Central Florida Public Media. I'm Sharon Stone. Thank you for spending your Thanksgiving with us. Ahead here on the program, J. Henry's Barbershop provides top shelf haircuts, but it's the namesake owner that makes it a nexus of the Paramore community.
Believe it or not, I was born in this community. I started cutting hair in this community in 1984 after graduating from barber school. Believe it or not, March the 27th of 1984. It's been a long time.
We'll revisit our trip to J. Henry's Barbershop to meet the owner and his regulars. But first, in August, we learned of a scholarship promoting education in trade skills. The scholarship provides an excellent opportunity for Central Florida students. But it was the funders of this scholarship that made the story unique. Here's our look at the All Within My Hands Foundation from August of this year. When Robert Blakowski discharged from the Navy a few years ago, he didn't know what to do with his life. The Orlando native took some college courses after high school, but various life events distracted him from the classroom, and at the height of the COVID pandemic, he enlisted as a machinist mate. Robert found he enjoyed working with his hands and wanted to pursue a career that allowed him to create and build things. He just didn't know where to start. That's when his best friend finally got real with him.
He brings a whole bunch of packets and puts them in front of me, and he's like, I want you to choose between these. He's like, you need to go back to school and get certified. And I was like, you're right. Like, I've been thinking about certifications for a long time. It's cheaper than a degree and just less time. And he's like, I already circled the ones you'd be interested in. And sure enough, he was right on the money. And then I saw mechatronics, and I was like, I read what it was about, And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do.
Blakowski enrolled at Valencia College, where he had taken classes a few years earlier. He filled out paperwork for sponsorship and financial aid, and he was awarded a grant. He attended classes without questioning where the grant money came from. And then 2 weeks before graduation, his instructor pulled Robert and his classmate aside.
He was like, hey, do you guys know who sponsored you? And me and Josh look at each other. We're like, not really. Like, because everybody else was talking to Career Source. So we're like, we don't know. And then he was like, have you ever heard of a band called Metallica? And I'm like, no freaking way. Like, what do you mean? Like, have we not heard of a band called Metallica? I grew up listening to Metallica.
Yeah, that Metallica. The band grew out of the San Francisco metal scene of the early 80s to become one of those enduring 40-year bands like the Rolling Stones or U2. They've sold well over 100 million albums, and they still pack the biggest arenas worldwide. On the side, they support a foundation called All Within My Hands that funds trade educations at 42 community colleges in 33 states, including Polk State College in Winter Haven and Valencia College in Orlando. And why did a thrash metal band with a reputation for hard partying and morbid lyricism take such an interest in supporting trade education? Here's lead singer James Hetfield from the Foundation's website to explain.
All of those people that don't fit the Ivy League road to success, we want a place for them. We feel that our music is that place for the forgotten, the invisible kids, the misfit type people that don't think they fit in. Being able to highlight and to love and to shine some heroism, some thank yous onto all of these trades and skills that are lifelong is pretty important for us.
In the decades since a generation of World War II veterans received a college education via the GI Bill, the drumbeat to success meant a 4-year degree. Here's Renee Richardson, the Director of Philanthropy with the All Within My Hands Foundation.
For a long time, colleges were just promoting what they needed to, which was academia. And I think there's a set of folks that were forgotten and maybe not, the money wasn't spent on marketing to people to say, hey, you know what? Plumbers make good money. You can work with your hands and have a wonderful career and possibly own your own business and guide your own future. So we just wanted to use Metallica's voice to shine a light on that. And then with what we do for our foundation, the Metallica Scholars Initiative in particular, I mean, we don't know from education. What do we know? So that's why we partnered with the American Association of Community Colleges. They help us find the schools. So when we started with the first 10 schools that we started with, we're like, here's our focus. We want traditional trades. We want $100,000 for 10 schools each, 100,000. So we gave $1 million that first year. And we want the focus to be on traditional trades, whether it was carpentry, automotive, truck driving, welding, manufacturing. So that's how it started. And now 6 years in, we just signed on an additional 18 schools, which brings our total to 60 community colleges in all 50 states. So we are across the nation officially as of last month, which is really exciting for us. And in total, the band has invested over $10 million in this program. We're stoked.
So what does it feel like for you, like seeing this program grow? You're going to these campuses.
It's just mind-blowing, and I feel so fortunate to meet the students, to hear these stories. We try as best we can to get all these stories up on the All Within My Hands website so that our donors can see directly who we're helping and learn a little bit more about the people whose lives are changing because of this work that we're doing together.
What kind of reaction do you get when you reveal that you're with Metallica?
Sometimes I don't tell people that's what I do. I have to read the room a little bit. A lot of times I just say I work for a family foundation. And then if people pry, I say, yeah, that family is Metallica.
That's quite the family to be a part of. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do want people to know that for these guys, this isn't lip service. You know, we have board meetings. They're on the board. They ask really solid questions. They want to know how we're doing. They want to know what's working, what's not working. How can we be better? I mean, always this band is like, how can we do more? How can we be better? And I mean, that's why they are where they are 40 years into their career.
The All Within My Hands Metallica Scholars Initiative at Valencia supports 3 tracks of study at the college's Accelerated Skills Training Program: commercial vehicle operation, welding, and mechatronics. The mechatronics program focuses on industrial automation technology. That's a handy skill in a market with as many theme parks as we have. That's exactly how Robert Blakowski landed a plum gig at Universal Orlando, working on the park's new Epic Universe project.
I've been helping with the construction of Epic since December. Like, it's crazy to think I've already been there for going on 9 months now. Just within, a couple of weeks or so. But yeah, just that program, I mean, it's life-changing. And, there's definitely been a lot of students or former students I've run into at Universal where a lot of them was like, oh yeah, I took the mechatronics program, or oh yeah, I went to Valencia. And after the program, like knowing all the job opportunities I had, and it's life-changing. Like Universal is really, I mean, of course Valencia, but like Universal's really helped change my life. Like thanks to Valencia and their programs, I'm able to finally feel like I'm going in the right direction in my life. But I've already talked to career advisors and everything, and I've decided to return to Valencia, finish my AS in electrical and computer engineering, because I consider Universal my career now. I've been there for almost 2 years, and I want to get promoted. I want to either promote into engineering or management in the future.
It's collaborations with companies like Universal that allow Valencia graduates to acclimate into the workforce from the classroom. Carolyn McMorran is the Assistant Vice President of Professional Continuing Education at Valencia.
When employers can actually partner with us, and I mean really engage, like, Universal's gone through the content map. They know exactly what's being taught in that program. And that's the kind of relationship that we're looking for with employers in our local market, is where we can truly engage and make that impact. And then it really helps Robert in the future to be able to, he's just in the door. So now he's got opportunities to get promoted and to move up. And we often say, we're not training you for a job. We're training you for a career. And I know 4 years from now, Robert's going to call me back and say, you're not going to believe what I'm doing now.
And as far as the prestige of offering a scholarship from a 40-year-old heavy metal band,
Metallica spans multiple generations for their fans. So, I always think it's really interesting that a person like Robert and his age group is like, oh, I know exactly who a Metallica fan is. And most of our students, our average age is 33. So we will have students from 18 to 65 in a class. And what's so great about working with Metallica is all those people know who Metallica is. And so it's always really just wonderful to know that this band has had such an impact on multiple generations, which I think is really cool.
And Carolyn, what is your favorite Metallica song?
Sandman.
We'll have links to the All Within My Hands application pages for both Valencia College and Polk State College on our website, cfpublic.org. Just look for Engage under the shows and podcasts link on the homepage. Zach Moldoff found a way to combine his passion for skateboarding with a desire to provide the kids in his community with a constructive outlet for their energy. The result is Skate Buds. Engage went to the Pine Hills Boys and Girls Club back in August to meet Moldoff. Here's that conversation. In 2019, Zach Moldoff and his wife were living in Los Angeles. He was trying to get a business off the ground that promoted skateboarding events and concerts. The business was a struggle. but he found great satisfaction from the interactions with the kids in his community and their response to the skate culture he was bringing to their neighborhoods. Following the COVID pandemic, the Moldovs tired of the LA lifestyle and headed to the Sunshine State, setting up shop in Orlando near Zach's family. That is where Skate Bud began to take shape. Zach sees an opportunity to provide kids in Central and South Florida with a healthy distraction from the risks of the streets. Give a kid a skateboard, and they will skate. That's the basic tenet of Skate Bud. Empower youth by giving them something they can focus on and control. A kid wasting time learning to kickflip isn't wasting his time slinging drugs. So Zach partnered with numerous businesses, and now he travels into communities in and around Orlando and Miami, where he provides the parts and knowledge for kids to build their own skateboards. That's exactly what Zach was doing last Friday at the Pine Hills Boys and Girls Club. Dozens of kids lined up to screw wheels onto the axles and axles onto the decks. Then they personalize each board with stickers and paint markers. Engage producer Richard Copeland stopped by the Pine Hills Boys and Girls Club to learn more about Skatebug. Zach Moldoff began the conversation by explaining how his own experience as a troubled youth led to the creation of his nonprofit.
I got arrested when I was a kid, and I got in trouble enough and saw enough things at a young age that made me understand life, I think, in a different way than most of the people who were my peers growing up. And that forced me to look for different experiences, and I found skateboarding, and really through that was able to, I would say, feel like a person for the first time. And instead of just being surrounded by the people who were immediately around me by circumstance, you know, from where you go to school and what neighborhood you live in, it was these other skateboarders from around the county, and we all met at a skate park that had opened, an indoor skate park in South Florida called South Florida Extreme. It was in Pembroke Pines. You know, and started meeting up with all these people from around the county, and it was like, oh, cool, let's go skate. You know, and these became the first relationships that I had where I would say I really started to understand being an adult and society and so many things, and then becoming a parent, recognizing the value that can deliver to a young developing person was, to me, I just saw urgency in doing that. It would be easy to just like have this generalized explanation and say, oh, because I'm Jewish and tikkun olam is important, you know, to repair the world, then I just do this. But it's more significant than that. But I do think in a large part that is what figures into it also. I just feel a great urgency to address things that I see are like not right.
Why skating? What do you get from skating, and what is it about that you want to share with others?
I think it gives a sense of self-actualization and like a process for self-actualization and just discipline and exercise and producing results, and you know, but it's all discipline that you put on yourself, that you choose. So it's wherever you need it to meet you at, it'll meet you there, right? So it can adapt to so many different people's circumstances and needs. And I recognize the transformative power that it has had for me. And I know so many other people who can say the same thing, that I know from experience that it works, right? And it works really good, especially for people who maybe other stuff doesn't, the normal solutions, right? Like playing on a baseball team and the things that we might say are, you're gonna find them in school, right? And you're gonna be just exposed to them, they're everywhere, they're institutionalized.
This is something that you create yourself.
Right, as you do it, and you determine who you're gonna do it with, how long you're gonna do it for, if you are trying to learn a certain trick or go to a certain place or accomplish a certain thing, and then when you actually do it, was it done well enough? Like, do you want to do it better? Do you want to go back again and just try it again? Like, there's so many, it really, it's so open-ended that I think it really causes us to think in a way that is juxtaposed to the standards that we're seeing in society now, right? Where the internet is kind of feeding you all these opportunities for things to do and people to be. And skateboarding says like, yeah, all of that is true, but what are you bringing to it? Like there's no prompt, right?
So it's facilitating a level of creativity that you don't typically find in organized sports.
Absolutely. And you know, it's funny because there's always been a kind of juxtaposition of, is skateboarding an athletic art or is it a creative sport? You know, and it really is both. It's whatever someone would say they need it to be. And I think that's what's so interesting about it too, is that it pushes back on the idea that there's one category that it should fit into. And it's just, why are we bothering with the categories?
So we just had the opportunity to see skateboarding in Paris during the Olympics. So tell me what you were feeling, what kind of emotions did it elicit for you to be able to see that verified like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really great. And I feel extra lucky because, you know, I'm not there and I don't want to overstate the significance of any of this or make it sound like I'm someone that I'm not. But there are some people that I know that were competing, you know, and it's exciting to know that. And I have a friend who's a sports agent that represents some of the top competitors who were there. And like to not just to say like, oh yeah, like I know someone, but to really say like, these are the people who I'm working with, like my peers in this industry that are striving for something that I see being recognized as such a positive by the rest of the world. It's so great. I watched it with my son on TV and I shouted, you know, and not to shout just to be like to shout at the TV, but out of genuine, I was overwhelmingly awed by some of the things that I saw. And to have that too, where, you know, I started skating in the 90s, all these people who push back against it and say like, it's not core, it's not street, it's not real. The people who I know who made street skateboarding what it is, who these detractors would worship, they wouldn't agree with that, right? They would say, hey, if that's what these people want to do, look how good they are, right?
So let's bring this back to the Central Florida communities. You said you got started in Los Angeles. What brought you to Orlando?
I went to college here. I lived here from 2000 to 2005. This was the first place I ever did any kind of real skate programming. I had done skate lessons when I was in high school for one of the local skate shops. And when I got here, I worked at a foster home. And some of the kids had skateboards. I was like, I'll take you guys out to skate on the weekends. Like, let's go. You know, so it would be the kids who would skate, but then also kids who didn't skate because it was just something to do to get out.
And are you seeing that provide a productive outlet for these kids?
I mean, not only is it productive, like I said, I think for people of all ages, skateboarding works especially well for people that aren't being met by traditional services, right? Or people whose needs are not being met by traditional services. Or if they are being met, could be met better, because skateboarding is this way for the individual to have control, right? And a lot of times when you find kids who've been exposed to extreme trauma, what do they need? Control. And a lot of times the terms for the services that are offered, they jive against that control in an unproductive way. And with skateboarding, we can make it safe without asking participants to relinquish any control. And that, I think, is what makes it just, yes, on the whole, like for anyone, it doesn't matter who you are, like of any circumstance, skateboarding would probably be great for you. But especially for those kids who are going through the developmental stage where, like me, they could make a mistake and get arrested at a young age, and that's hard to shift courses from. You know, when we understand it from the outside in terms of like a box you check and categories, I think it seems much more simple of like, oh yeah, how long could it take to get over that? But when you think like, I've never been able to get hired, ever, for a full-time job except at a restaurant. I've only been looked at as someone who's good enough to be a contractor, freelancer. Like, we can't trust this guy to let him in. And that's not because I have a master's degree. I've done all kinds of things. I have the experience, right? Like, my portfolio shows it. Like, people who are my references would speak to it. But something about me, I just don't understand how to communicate in the way that those people are looking for. It's not I'm not trying to say I'm being discriminated against, right? It's just that I just don't get it. Because at that point when all of you were on the same path, I was on a different path. And that's those young kids that need control, that are being told, well, if you want the control, here's what you have to sacrifice, right? And skateboarding doesn't make them sacrifice anything. And to get that guidance and to have someone help you do it safely, and then on top of that, hopefully like providing mentorship that cultivates not just your capacity to skateboard, but your capacity to take what you learn skateboarding and apply it to something else in life, that becomes extra powerful.
That was producer Richard Copeland speaking with Skate Buzz founder Zach Moldoff back in September of this year. Coming up, we'll continue our look back at some of our favorite discussions from Central Florida communities with a trip to a legendary Orlando barbershop. We thank you for spending your Thanksgiving with us. We would love to hear about your favorite Thanksgiving memories. You can reach out to us by sending us an email to engage@cfpublic.org. Thank you for listening to Engage on Central Florida Public Media. You're listening to Engage on Central Florida Public Media. I'm Sharon Stone. We hope you're having a turkey-rific Thanksgiving. We continue our retrospective into the conversations that we've had within Central Florida communities throughout 2024. Back in the spring, we had the pleasure of meeting Jay Henry. His barbershop has been a nexus of community activity for more than 30 years. We learned how the shop was recovering following a 2021 tragedy. Here is Engage's visit to the Jay Henry Barbershop from March of this year. Jay Henry's Barbershop is a pillar of Paramore. It's been a prominent gathering place in Orlando for more than 3 decades. Mr. Herman Baker is a longtime friend of the Henry family, and we talked to him while he was sitting at the shop.
It's an awesome feeling to be here because of the simple fact of there, me and him go back, way back. So, and it's not only about the barbershop, he been a friend. Man, we can sit outside, and I'm kind of country, so we can sit outside and we can chew the fat meat like no other. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of time when I talk to him, he giving me a word of wisdom, or if I feel that the presence of the Lord done passed me by to talk to him, I'll drop off a little nugget to him. And we just like that right there. And as for his man in the chair, we all just sit here and kick it. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of time I don't get a haircut. I might get my beard trimmed, anything. But it's just the idea that the barbershop means so much to Paramore and to the peoples. It's really the people's barbershop.
People felt a void when Jay Henry's shop was destroyed by fire in 2021. It took more than 2 years to rebuild, and it just reopened. We talked to Jay Henry and one of his barbers, Leroy Owens, at the shop where the community is celebrating.
Thursday morning, I got a phone call from the city of Orlando that I was asked cut Mayor Dyer's hair because he told me he wanted to be the first one to get his hair cut. And I'm like, cool, sounds great to me. So, of course, they met me down here about 3:30 Thursday afternoon, and Sherry Gutch, one of his staff members, called me up and said she wanted to get the mayor's hair cut and stuff. And I said, hey, sure, bring him on down. I'd be glad to cut his hair. And she suggested that we do the ribbon cutting at the same time. And I'm like, whoa, sounds cool to me. So we'll do this. She said, well, we can open up now. And I'm like, cool, that'll work. Let's do it.
And that was Thursday?
That was just Thursday past.
So, yeah, we're coming up on 1 week being back open.
Yeah, pretty much.
How long have you been in this community?
Wow. Believe it or not, I was born in this community. I started cutting hair in this community in 1984 after graduating from barber school. Believe it or not, March the 27th of 1984. March 27th is coming up here shortly, in a few days. It's been a long time. So I've been here in the neighborhood since 1985 when I started cutting here, and then I moved away for a couple of on the west side of town, and then I came back around 91 when I started working in this barbershop.
What were the styles? What were you cutting then?
Believe it or not, it's so funny how history repeats itself, and there's really nothing new under the sun, just a new people thinking that it's new to them, the younger generation, but these same haircuts and styles, I was doing these haircuts 40 years ago. It just blows my mind to say that, but it's really true. It just give it a different name, same haircut, different name. A lot of the haircuts that we're doing now in 2024, if you look at the old pictures and movies and stuff, they was wearing the same haircuts back in the 50s and the 60s. Same haircut, different name.
What's old is new?
What's old is new. There's nothing new under the sun.
Talk to me about just what this place means to Paramore. This is when we walked in, you said, welcome home.
Yes. Well, with this place, I can tell you what it means to me. What it means to me is a dream come true for me. It's almost, it was like a oasis, if you will, in the desert. A young kid started off with a pair of clippers, a bar stool, a pillowcase around the customer's neck, some green alcohol after the haircut. This was back in 1981, 82, when I was in high school, and it was a dream come true for me to go on the barber school and get my barber license and come back to the neighborhood that, believe it or not, that I was born in, to cut hair here. It's amazing to me. I'm grateful, I'm humble.
Are your customers, are they all regulars?
You know, I tell you something about customers. A lot of the customers are regular that I've been cutting their hair for a long, long time, for years. A lot of the customers that their kids, their grandkids, been coming to this same location for a very long time. And it's so amazing how I cut one of my childhood seniors' hair today. He saw me on TV. His mother and my mother, they were great friends back in the 70s, if you will. And once he saw me on TV, he said, hey, man, he told his son-in-law, I got to go see Jay Henry. But they came down to the barbershop, and I cut his hair today, and they said, man, we know we're going to be getting our hair cut at. Right back here on the corner in Jay Henry's barbershop. And it just made me feel so great, man, to hear that and to feel it, because I know we're doing something right.
Today is all I want to do to celebrate just this milestone moment. But I remember it was 2021, wasn't it, when the fire?
Exactly.
Can you take me back to that moment?
November the 13th, 2021, around 12:30 that afternoon, that evening, that night, earlier that Saturday morning, got a phone call from my wife. Baby, we got a problem. I'm like, what's going on? The barbershop is on fire. And I'm laying in the bed, I was asleep, and she was working down at the Camping World Stadium doing our Electric Daisy Carnival. And I said, baby, you got to be kidding me. She said, yeah, baby, it's true. We need you to come down to the barbershop. Of course, because she's the deputy chief of the Atlanta Police Department. So when she gave me that phone call, I know it was true because it was confirmed by her co-workers that was here on the scene. So I got up, I got dressed, and sure enough, it was the longest drive of my life because I couldn't get here fast enough. And once I got here, it was almost like in a movie. Streets blocked off, the community standing out on the sidewalk, the fire department here, the police here, my co-workers calling me, confirming the thought that the barbershop had caught fire. And once I got here, it was almost like, wow, this is really happening. So the closer I got here and I saw actually what was happening, it was crazy to me. Because think about it, it's right after COVID. We just getting back up and open, and now a fire. It's like, what am I going to do now? And I hear a still small voice. Just stand still. Just stand still for a moment in your spirit and see the salvation of the Lord. And my wife, she was here on the scene, and she whispered to me softly. She looked at me in the eyes, and she told me, baby, everything going to be all right. We're going to be all right. And it's just something funny about that. When your wife or your mother or your spouse or your father tell you that you're going to be all right, don't nothing else really matter, because those are the people that are there with you when you are not there for yourself sometimes. They're standing in the gap, speaking those words of life back into you and keeping you going. It meant a lot to me.
I also remember the outpouring of support from the community right in the aftermath.
Yeah. The outpouring, I got phone calls from people that I didn't even know was thinking about me. People started donating money and calling and bringing me money and sending money and donations. And man, it was just really, truly a blessing, because you never ever know how important you are or how much you mean to people from afar and close to you until things really, really, when tragedy hit. They were there. The community was there, even from the state level, the county level, the city level, and throughout the community. People were just there, sending me letters, sending money in the mail, called and asked me what was my address. You know, seniors writing a little money out of their little checks that they get every month, just wanted to show love. And it was great for me. I appreciate it. And we made it happen. We collectively made it happen.
So in the aftermath, what did it mean to people to not have this gathering place? Did you hear from them that you couldn't wait for you to get back open?
Yes. Every single day from November the 13th, that night, the 14th, the following day of 2021, up until the day we opened, everywhere I went, people was asking me when the barbershop gonna open, when y'all gonna get back open. And at one time it started becoming annoying, but I had to flip it in my mind and say, they care. And even if it don't appear that they care, they asking for a reason. And I had to embrace the fact that someone cared enough for me to continue to ask out of love and concern, when are we going to reopen? And that was very important to me. It meant a lot, still means a lot, each and every moment.
What was the process just of rebuilding to get to where we are now?
The process of rebuilding to get to where we are now. The process to get to where we are now. Wow. I got a phone call from the city of Orlando, and the word was, J. Henry, we hear rumors that you are thinking about moving out of the Paramore community. And it was true, because I wanted to open back up soon as possible, somewhere. And I was comforted with the words that, J. Henry, we love you and we care about you. And we want you to stay in the Paramore community.
That was Engage's March visit to J. Henry, the owner of J. Henry's Barbershop. It's on Paramore Avenue, right across from the Orlando City and Pride Soccer Inter and Co Stadium downtown. I'm Sharon Stone. Thank you for joining us on this Thanksgiving Day.